And we're taking a live look out at the Supreme Court now, where justices just handed down a ruling allowing Idaho hospitals to provide emergency abortions for now. And now quick hits of the day's other news. A child saves his mother from an intruder in a Charlotte hotel room, and a date has been set for Alec Murdaugh's sentencing. But first, Target is changing how you use self-checkout in their stores. A day after a New York jury found former President Donald Trump guilty of 34 felony counts, we're seeing dramatic reactions from both Trump and the White House. The sheriff's office there says they seized more than 600 grams of fentanyl, more than 1,400 grams of methamphetamine, more than 6,000 grams of cocaine, as well as 230 pills. And we are tracking the damage from a major apartment complex fire in Greenville. Just take a look at the collapsed roof here. This is at West Point Apartments. We've had volunteers out starting at, I believe, 9 o'clock this morning, doing everything from packing school supplies to even scooping litter boxes. But this fun is not over yet. Turning to Craven County now, renovations are underway at Craven Pamlico Animal Services, and that work includes creating a new intake area. We are following budget discussions in Chocowinity and how it could impact the EMS department, from positions, fuel dollars, and vehicle maintenance. Now this over here, this is the early version of the EMS budget. As we go through tomorrow, I know you mentioned the app. It's a good idea to always keep those alerts on if there's any warnings or anything in your area, but hey, the rest of the week looks pretty nice.
Oh, yeah.
There's another deadlock this year in putting together a state budget for North Carolina, and much like last year, the impasse is on the Republican side. House GOP members are growing impatient with their Senate counterparts, so they're advancing their own bill that provides a slight pay increase for teachers and other state workers. Not on your side's Capitol reporter Michael Hyland is live in Raleigh. And Michael, there are multiple posts on her social media accounts calling for people to be put to death.
It's time for the chill for pretty much everybody. Not even just in North Carolina, but looking at that map, a lot of very cold.
It's the perfect way to spend a summer night. It's a little windy out, but honestly, the only thing blowing us away right now is our music act tonight. We have the Powell Brothers making their East Coast debut tonight. They come from the Lone Star State of Texas.
A huge crowd came out to watch them take on the Asia Pacific team out of the Philippines on Tuesday night. So let's take a look at the highlights. Top of the first, runner on second, 2 outs. Candace Lynn there hits this one right between first and second. The outfielder misses the ball.
You have done so much for the veterans here in the East in North Carolina. So we were just wondering if you could walk us through just a little bit of that for maybe the people who didn't get to see your story. How does it feel to know that your impact is not only being felt in New Bern, but now that people across the East are hearing what you have to say?
That is really incredible.
What at the end of the day is your message for Eastern North Carolina?
Embrace your veterans.
And today is our annual telethon supporting the Ronald McDonald House Charities. It's a day where you can donate to the foundation. And I am joined here today in studio by Kimberly Maddox. And Kimberly, so what does a day like today mean then? A day all about community. What's it mean?
Absolutely, that's well said.
Busy schedule for you today with all of the volunteers. What are you hoping for at the end of all of this?
We really
Carolina. So Kimberly, thank you so much for joining us today. And again, you can support the Ronald McDonald House Charities by just one phone call or text. You can. And Jeremy, we just heard some of your story, but you said it yourself. It's been around 30 years, over 30 years with the organization.
Yes.
What's it been like to kind of see everything from then to now?
Well, first, I'm excited.
And those donations, obviously, they help so many families in different ways. What are some of the ways, or what do those donations go to?
So for us,
Well, new at noon, students are back in the classroom at A.J. Cox Middle School after a possible bomb threat this morning. Pitt County school officials tell Not on Your Side the call came in just before 8 o'clock this morning, and you're looking at the scene at around 8:30 on your screen now. They say all students and staff were evacuated while police and school administration cleared the building. Officials say everyone was allowed back inside by 8:45 and classes started shortly after. And the NTSB is releasing their final report on the plane crash that killed 8 people off of the Crystal Coast in February of 2022, and they're blaming it on pilot error. The 16-page report says the pilot, Ernest Rawls, didn't do enough pre-flight planning nor enough monitoring during the flight and failed to regain control after the plane started to stall. The 8 people killed on board the plane included 4 teenagers. You can see the full report on our website at WNCT.com.
Across the state now, election officials are changing the way they handle same-day voter registrations. The law for same-day voters required the Board of Elections to give 2 attempts to mail people their registration cards. Republicans tried to change that, requiring votes to be thrown out after 1 failed attempt. Now a federal judge ruled it unconstitutional. North Carolina election officers will now follow up with phone calls and emails. Out of every 1,000 cards they may send out, only about 5 come back as undeliverable. It is possible this could change again between March's primaries and the November general election. And another legal challenge to North Carolina's district lines for Congress and the legislature, but this time they're seeking a new route. Nearly a dozen voters filed the suit, saying the maps violate their state constitutional right to fair elections. Now we're taking a look at the borders for the districts in question. Specifically, we're looking at the 6th, the 13th, and the 14th congressional districts. This green one here in the Triad area, that is District 13, including counties like Johnston and Franklin. But as you can see, a lot of Raleigh isn't included in there. Purple one here between Goldsboro and Winston-Salem, that is District 6. And if we just look out west of Charlotte down here in Mecklenburg County, this orange one is District 14. Now the lawsuit also includes a Wilmington area state Senate district and a Charlotte area state house district. The case will be heard by a 3-judge panel, and it could ultimately end up at the Supreme Court. Those who filed want changes in time for the 2024 elections, but resolving the case before the fall is looking to be a heavy lift. Well, House Republicans in our state want Governor Roy Cooper to do more to deal with the crisis at the border in Texas. In a letter, House Speaker Tim Moore is calling on the governor to deploy more National Guard troops to Texas, but have them be under the authority of Texas and not the federal government. Moore says the General Assembly will vote again on a bill requiring sheriffs to cooperate with federal immigration officials. State Republicans say this is creating issues like a rise in illegal drugs coming to our state. Governor Cooper released a statement saying in part, the Senate is close to the strongest border security law in a generation, but Donald Trump is telling Republicans to stop because a tough border law hurts his campaign. If Republicans really wanted a strong border, they would release a statement supporting this legislation. And in our nation's capital now, a $78 billion tax cut package is headed to the Senate after passing in the House with rare bipartisan support. The measure would boost the child tax credit and reinstate some business deductions. Natalie Brand has more from Capitol Hill.